All right, Sheriff Snyder, I know that you just said we're going to have another news conference of sorts at 11:30 because you think there may be something else to talk about breaking in this case?
Well, we have our entire criminal investigations division out here now looking for evidence. I just got a text. There's possibly they have found something additional. I can't confirm that. I don't know what. But we will continue throughout the day exhausting every possibility that there's any further evidence out here. Obviously, we're very focused on the fact that when we disinterred Tricia's remains, all we have is one part of her body. So the rest of her remains are out here somewhere, or the worst case scenario, they're completely out of this area, and we'll continue looking.
So not even the rest, you're saying most of the remains have yet to been found?
Yes, the majority of her remains are yet to be found.
And I know you said when you came out here yesterday that Mr. Williams did not give you any idea to think that you would find the remains in this way, that in fact you were shocked that this happened. So my question to you is, I know you searched her home and you searched many areas. If he did dismember her body, where was this done, something like this?
It would have had to have been done out here because we forensically examined her vehicle, which we know from videotape evidence that he would have transported her out here in her car, so it could not have occurred prior to coming out here.
So this story that he had been saying that they got into an argument possibly over money troubles, caught up in the heat of the moment, didn't know what to do, wasn't sure that she was in fact dead, hoped she wasn't, all of that, and then left her here. You're pretty much saying this does not match up to what you're finding.
From the very beginning, except for his recounting of his events after her disappearance, nothing now matches. So everything he has said is suspect. And no, certainly we had no way to anticipate, after working out a plea deal, after the family wanting the remains of their daughter back and agreeing to a 35-year plea deal, we thought we would come out here and find her buried remains and would be able to bring closure to the family. There was no way we could have anticipated this. It was an enormous shock to all of us, and it's a very complex case that we'll continue working on, and hopefully we'll be able to solve what we're working on.
And I'm sorry.
Does this change the plea deal that you made with Stephen Williams at all, now that you know that her body isn't intact?
We've been in touch with the state attorney's office today. They're working with Mr. Williams, working with his attorney, and they've specifically asked me not to talk about any possibility of changes going forward. So what we'll do today is focus on what we have out here. Our task at hand in law enforcement is to do the forensics. We have a forensic anthropologist heading this way from Florida Gulf Coast University, and we'll do everything we can to get certainly we want all of her remains and then any physical evidence that might be out here.
And I know that you guys had charged Stephen Williams with second-degree murder because there wasn't the evidence to prove that this was premeditated. So does this change your mind at all now, or your belief about?
What you're doing there is asking me to try to think forward. Would the plea change? Does our negotiated stance change? And I can't answer that because the state attorney, first of all, has asked me not to, and second of all, I don't know what they're actually talking about now. So we're focusing on the task here, and that is the forensics.
Sheriff, the last thing I want to ask you is, last night you tweeted out really a heartfelt tweet to, prayers for your team as they go into this today. This has been very difficult for them. I would imagine you're hoping that this can come to a close today.
Well, the men and women behind me that are down the road that are looking for the remains are mothers and fathers. I'm a father. I have a daughter Tricia's age. They actually went to school together, and we're humans. And I did pray last night for them to have strength and wisdom and courage as they face this darkness. This is a very difficult scene for them. They're humans like everybody else, but they're professionals and they are focused on their job, and there's no resources I won't get them. I will take care of them and make sure that they have their adequate food and water, and we'll try to keep them out of the elements as much as possible. But we're not leaving here until we've done everything we can to find every bit of evidence that might be out here.
All right, thank you, Sheriff.
We are going to go over every square inch of the area out there, looking for any kind of evidence that might be out there. But our biggest focus today will be to find all of Tricia Todd's remains.
Can you talk about the equipment? Or I noticed that there was a nonprofit here earlier with cadaver dogs.
Right, we have cadaver dogs out there, and of course we've had our helicopters been up and given us aerials. We'll have our ATVs will be out here today. So all of the resources that we need to be able to move through this area. The brush gets dense the further I'm pointing south, the further south we go from the burial site, it does get more dense. But I think it's a reasonable working theory that if he was out here and dismembered the body here, which it does appear relatively certain he did, we don't have the biggest area now to check. I mean, we've been doing a 15 square mile radius for a month, and this is a much easier lift for us as far as area to search.